What's going on, everybody? I am finally home from the home studio, talking some football. Just finished watching the Atlanta Falcons come from behind and take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and beat them at the end with a game-winning field goal. Cosmo is joining us. He missed his dad. I missed him. And he's joining us for this one. But the headlines coming out of the NFL world this week is what is up with Joe Burrow. A couple of things here that I wanted to talk about. First of all, well, let's give it a listen. Let's play the clip so you guys can see exactly what Joe Burrow said and what everyone in the sports world seems to be talking about right now. And here's that.
If I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it. I've been through a lot, and if it's not fun, then what am I doing it for? So that's the mindset I'm trying to bring to the table.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it seemed frustrating.
There's just a lot of things going on right now.
Football related, personally.
All the above. Like you said, there's nothing. All we can do is focus week to week and try to win games. I don't think anybody's really thinking about the playoffs right now. That's within reach, but on our fingertips. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing.
All right. So as you heard the man, he sounds frustrated. He sounds deflated. He came back for that game that they took on the Ravens and beat the Ravens. And suddenly the Bengals had momentum, even though they were many games below 500 and with a very outside chance of making the playoffs, although that division is pretty terrible. So even though in most divisions they would probably already have been eliminated, that was their best shot, was to win the division. But they took a loss this last week to Buffalo. Burrow made a couple mistakes, and ultimately it kind of just ended their season. I don't think they're mathematically eliminated, but for the most part, they're not making the playoffs. And, a couple things. First of all, I think that the media reads into things like this way too much. I mean, the guy's deflated. He came back and rushed back from an injury, and it seems like he's just going to come back to play 4 more games and the season's over again. He's played 6, 7 seasons now. Got to a Super Bowl once, didn't win it. So I'm sure he's hungry for that again. And he's tired of getting hit. But I'll say this much. I don't have sympathy for Joe Burrow. This is what happens when players want to play GM. I remember Joe Burrow very much standing up for his guys, which that's fine. Stand up for them, pleading that the Bengals pay T. Higgins. They had already paid Jamar Chase. They had already paid Joe Burrow. And now he wanted his wide receiver 2 to get paid big money. So the Bengals did that. Yes, I know that their ownership doesn't, throw around a lot of cash because they don't have it. But that ends up being a criticism on ownership that they're not committed. You can, committed or not, that's fine. But ultimately, there is a salary cap that teams have to, oblige by. And if you're going to pay yourself as a starting quarterback, top QB1 money, which you deserve, Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1 money, which he deserves, T. Higgins, wide receiver 2, top wide receiver 2 money, which you could say he deserves. I think he's a great wide receiver. But now you got three weapons that are top, highly paid at their positions on offense. Oh, and Trey Hendrickson, let's get him paid as well. And Burrow was big on that, which again, you should have your guys back. But when you're going out in public and kind of pleading that the organization pay those guys, you're putting them in a position where they kind of have to pay those guys. And that's probably not the smartest GM move. So again, the thing with the media is they're reading into it where they're like, oh, he's not happy and all this. Man, sometimes these guys got to talk to the media every week, every other day. You ever just had a bad day? And he literally says it in the clip. He's like, there's just a lot going on. The guy's like, is it football related or outside of football? He's like, there's just a lot going on. You don't know what's going on. Maybe something to do with his family. Maybe a relative, a cousin, a brother, sister, mother, father, grandpa, grandma is not doing well. There's just so much that could be going on for the media to jump to conclusions on this comment on a 50-second clip and think, oh, he's going to want out of Cincinnati. he might want out of Cincinnati. But I just think reading into it a little bit too much. If he ends up wanting out of Cincinnati, I've already seen the rumors. I'm a Vikings fan. So, of course, I definitely saw that, Minnesota be a great spot for him. Justin Jefferson's there and all that. Okay, that's fine. But are you going to come to Minnesota and now, put your fist on the table and say, all right, well, you guys got to pay Jordan Addison? Because it doesn't work like that. And this is why you are getting sacked so much. Instead of paying T. Higgins, maybe the Bengals should have spread that wealth around and paid some offensive linemen that could block for you. So, listen, I would love Joe Burrow. That's wonderful. But don't come to Minnesota now and want Jordan Addison and get paid if you're going to be there, because that is not good GMing. If Burrow comes to Minnesota, frankly, one of the assets I wouldn't mind. I mean, they don't need receivers, so it wouldn't happen this way. But I'm saying I don't want to pay Jordan Addison then, because I want to use some of that money on defense. And again, it's fine if the Vikings pay Jordan Addison right now, because assuming they stick with J.J. McCarthy, he's on a rookie deal, which is where now you can spread the wealth around. But you can't have a QB1 and 2 wide receivers getting paid all that money. The Cowboys, I think, are about to make that mistake. They already are paying CeeDee Lamb top dollar. George Pickens is about to want a lot of money. And if they pay him, they got Dak on a top QB salary and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And now how are you building the offensive line? They drafted Tyler Booker, which I think has been all right as a guard this season. But you're going to have to hit on draft picks. You're going to have to hit on great free agent signings. Essentially, the room for error on whiffs in the offseason, there isn't much. And that's what happens. And that's what's going on with the Bengals. If you are going to pay these guys all that money, I'm sorry, but at that point, you're going to have to, all your $2 million signings that were supposed to be depth pieces with that kind of salary now have to suddenly become starters and play well. And that's what's happening in Cincinnati. Again, listen, in the beginning, the first couple years that Joe Burrow was there, yes, he was still getting sacked a lot, and that maybe was the GM of the Bengals. I didn't follow the Bengals that closely back then, but they did make a Super Bowl, so something they were doing was right. But I think once you start paying all these guys, it's tough. So again, look, I am a J.J. McCarthy believer. I think, as we've clearly seen, Kevin O'Connell was refusing to dumb down his playbook and essentially make it easy on the kid. He finally did that last week, and the kid looked better. And yeah, obviously it's not a complex defense, and he's going to still have his struggles. He might be terrible against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football this week. But my point is, I'm fine with starting J.J. McCarthy next year. I'm okay with that. But if you're going to get Joe Burrow, you really got to think about how are we going to build the roster around him. Now, they got most of their guys already on the offensive line have been paid. So those contracts probably are more team friendly now. At this point, they have a guard, Donovan Jackson, that's a a rookie this year. So he's on a good deal. But again, and you're paying Justin Jefferson, top wide receiver dollar. Does he deserve it? Of course he does. Joe Burrow deserves his salary. Yes, he does. Does Jordan Addison deserve to be paid? He does. But if Joe Burrow comes to Minnesota, it won't be in Minnesota, or should not be in Minnesota is my point. If you want to win a Super Bowl. Anyway, that's my take on the Joe Burrow situation. I'll try to do another episode tomorrow maybe, or Saturday, do some predictions for this weekend in the NFL. But again, no sympathy, man. I'm sorry. Sucks that you get hit that much. But again, if you weren't advocating so loudly for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to get paid, maybe there would have been less pressure on the GM, and he would have thought to himself, all right, we can pay Jamar Chase. Let's sign and trade T. Higgins, or franchise and trade him. And with that money, let's sign a guard and a tackle. And now Joe Burrow won't be getting hit that much. Again, who knows? But that's why I don't typically like when players start playing GM. That's why there's a GM at that position, and he should be able to do his job. I'm not saying that GM would have done the right thing had Burrow not said anything publicly to try to get these guys paid. He might have still done what they're doing now. But I think that was the mistake, and that's what's leading to this, and that's what's leading to Joe Burrow getting hit all the time. I think he's getting hit or getting sacked an average of like 3 times per game for his whole career. That is a lot. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm just saying, respect the guy. He's got stuff going on in his life too that nobody in the media and stuff knows about. And sometimes people read into it way too much. Do I think he's going to be traded? I don't think so. I just don't. I don't see top quarterbacks like that really getting traded in the NFL, but you never know. Anyway, yeah, that's my take on the Joe Burrow situation. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, we'll see what comes out of it as the season winds down and the offseason gets started, which is when, if anything's going to happen, will happen then.